Tropical forests are one of the most incredible places on Earth, and for great apes, they are a matter of life and survival. The life lessons learned there are critical and cannot be skipped by any ape. But for orphaned apes, those lessons can be hard to come by. Forest School is their opportunity at a new beginning. Learning about Forest School, this time on Apes Like Us. This is Nona. As apes continue to experience devastating loss of habitat and the impacts of illegal poaching, orphaned apes across Equatorial Africa, Borneo, and Sumatra pour into rescue sanctuaries. These babies are vulnerable and without the knowledge to survive on their own. To help these orphans learn the necessary skills for life, many sanctuaries are now using forest schools. These schools are taught by caretakers who take the young orphans out into the forest for an all-day experience. There they spend the day in playtime and exploration. Forest schools help mimic the lives young ones would have had they remained with their moms in the wild. For many of these little apes, their lives may have begun in the wild, but poaching and the illegal pet trade has turned their journey into a chaotic nightmare. Rescued, they arrive in a foreign place, surrounded by strangers who don't look like them and don't speak their language. So it's up to caretakers to help them heal those wounds and move into a new life. The disoriented little apes will soon learn that they found a new home, full of hope and full of love. But before any lessons can even be learned, it's fundamental for caretakers to establish the basic trust and safety that these orphans now need. It's a foundation for future learning. A new home with a new family of dedicated surrogate human parents who step in to rebuild the missing bonds of comfort, affection, and love that they have lost. These human caretakers are experienced at raising orphaned apes, and they're able to strike a delicate balance between providing physical and mental well-being without getting them too dependent on human beings and human interaction. This is never an overnight process. Instead, it's a transition. To ensure the survival of these fragile little orphans during this critical period, these surrogate parents are committed 24/7. It's an incredible job, just as moms would be in the wild. In the first days and weeks, food becomes a critical bond. It's also important for establishing well-rounded nutrition. Food is key for young apes to develop properly, especially when they were taken from their moms at such an early age. Prior to arriving at the sanctuary, most rescued orphans would likely have had very little variety of food. Some, in fact, might only have been fed a single object like rice. They generally arrive underweight, and many have nutritional and health issues. Like kids, poor nutrition in youth can lead to countless long-term health problems. Little apes start learning almost immediately in the wild, and forest school is about filling that void. Nest building, for example, is something every ape in the wild is exposed to from the moment it's born, and it's repeated every single day of its life. Nest making is part art and part science, and for young orphans, it's a lesson of, well, trial and error. Or, in the case of this little orangutan, it's just a big pile of leaves to play with. Nests are places of comfort and rest, and it looks like this little gorilla, Chris, has figured out that this one, made by his caretakers, is just about perfect. Here, caretaker Sanda is not only teaching chimp Daphne how to be groomed, but he's also showing little Larry how to do the grooming. This includes the critical vocalizations. Perhaps one of the most important subjects in forest school is learning to climb. For most apes, the treetops are the real classroom. But learning to get there is half the challenge. Apes climb to forage for fruits, flowers, and leaves, scout out new territories, and escape danger. An ape that can't climb doesn't stand much of a chance of survival back in the wild. Even as infants, these orphans learn how to climb, but always under the watchful eye of their mom. That watchful eye is now the responsibility of their caretaker. Learning balance and agility is key to mastering the art of climbing. For apes, learning to climb isn't just about the knowledge and skill it takes. It's also a matter of developing the muscles little apes need to grip different branches, learn tensile strength of a limb, and how to balance, to leap from tree to tree. And of course, everyone's favorite part of school is recess. Like all schools, forest school has plenty of playtime. Much like humans, young apes use play to learn how to socialize with one another, build bonds, and establish hierarchy. Not only will play bring out the laughter in a chimpanzee, it also teaches them the social boundaries and a sort of ape etiquette, all skills that are necessary when they're old enough to join a troop of their own kind. For some apes, like gorillas, that play can get incredibly rough, but it's all part of learning how to fit into a group.
This was actually one of the first things I was taught when I first started working with baby chimps at Sumatra Rescue Center. Actually, the manager at the time said if they get too crazy, just start digging. I didn't know what she meant by it, but then she showed me. And it's just this weird thing with all baby chimps. If you start digging with a stick, look at, you see, they're fascinated by it. It's a great way to calm them down if they start getting too rambunctious, digging or grooming. Of curiosity there, they want to see what's underneath. But it's just, yeah, I can't explain it. I don't really know what the fascination is, but they get so close to see exactly what's going on that you almost can't even dig anymore. And sometimes they'll try to take the stick from your hand and do it themselves, but most times they prefer just to watch you do it.
The real key to forest school is independent learning. As orphans get older and stronger, forest school days get longer and longer, apes spend more and more of their day out in the forest. In some cases, they may spend the entire day and night in the trees. A big part of those longer days is trying things, exploring. Most of that is up in the treetops, where climbing is perfected. A key part of why apes are climbing around up there is finding food. Equally important to finding it is knowing where to find it. As orphans grow older, their caretakers will start making their food trickier to discover, so that they can get used to the basic problem of solving where to find foods and fill their bellies. This is especially critical for orangutans, who have the best opportunity to go back into the wild. Many apes spend a significant portion of their day foraging for different foods throughout the forest. But not all food is up there in the trees. Roots, shoots, and insects are a favorite part of their diet, especially for gorillas. And the effort is well worth it in the end. For some orphans, the journey through the forest school may take longer than others. But it's critical if they're ever going to be integrated into larger groups and, with luck, go back into the wild.
Hey, that's yours, Jenny. I mean, in the end, I can only speak for chimps, not for human babies, but they just want to be loved. I mean, they want to know that they're safe, and when they feel that safety and that trust, then the rest is easy. You can do whatever. I mean, that's part of the chimp's downfall too. Is they trust too much. So even some of these individuals that are taking advantage of them in entertainment industries or other industries of that sort, the chimps love them, and in some weird cases, the people even love them, even though they're exploiting them, because it's. I mean, because they're so like us, it's easy to build that bond with them. And you can do bad things to a chimp, and people do, and the chimp forgive them, and because they have that relationship there. They want to feel safe. They want to feel loved. They want the attention. As you can see, they will fight for the attention. The rest of it comes down to need. They need food. They need water. They need drinks. They need to survive. But most importantly, to make them feel comfortable, they need interaction. They need someone to be with them. But you can see it, even the way they react to touch and to being held. It's normal for them, just as it is for babies. They want that physical contact. Normally, at this age, they'd be still in very close quarter to their mother in the wild all the time. Some of them even still clinging most of the day. It's a bit different here because they can't cling all day to a caregiver, so we encourage them to move down earlier than they would in the wild and start to develop their leg muscles earlier.
The length of forest school can vary for each individual based on their age, history, and their personality. For some that have lived as illegal pets, this transition can take much, much longer. Forgetting their dependence on humans and learning natural ape behaviors can take weeks, months, even years. For others, who recently lost their moms, they may still have a solid enough foundation in natural behaviors that they can skate right through forest school and move on to another group inside the sanctuary. Or if lucky, they may even make it back into the wild.